Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and today it is time for a professional match of StarCraft 2. Spawning here in the bottom right hand corner of the cove for our king and playing with the red Zerg drones. And actually, speaking of drones, he's not making any. Going for a 12 spawning pool from Italy. We're looking inside of the main base of Reynor. His opponent in the top left-hand corner playing with the blue Protoss probes. He's quickly become one of my favorite Protoss players to watch, especially in this matchup, because he does like to go for some of those crazy builds. From Croatia, we have none other than Goblin. Now, here's the thing. Goblin is kind of well known for playing crazy builds. And maybe because of that, his opponents like to play even crazier builds against him as well, just so they are the ones who are going to be in charge. Here's the thing, if you're gonna go for a 12-pool cheese, right, like Reynor is doing right here, would you really want to do so on one of the biggest maps? I mean, the rush distance from ramp to ramp are absolutely long. Like, they're absolutely massive. This is, generally speaking, not a very good build on a map like this, but maybe Reynor knows that his opponent knows that this is indeed going to be a very long rush distance map, and because of that, he assumes that maybe his opponent is going to play a little bit overly greedy, and therefore he's going to once again be able to make this Zergling cheese work. Mind games is what I'm trying to say. If this would be a Nexus first, I think a Goblin would probably be in a world of trouble. Now, one probe is currently making its way across the map. The Zerglings, though, decide to take a different path outside of that main base, and right now, yeah, this should be the moment where Goblin decides that this is not quite right. I love this, though. A couple more Zerglings actually coming up right now. You know what? Goblin may actually assume that this is not a 12 pool, but he could actually assume that this is like a 17 pool. That's kind of what these two Zerglings right here show. He doesn't know about the fact that there's actually a bunch more Zerglings right here running already on the left-hand side of the map. Only just now does he start up a Zealot, which is very, very late. He needs to chrono boost that one out. There we go. But the links are already available. Immediately, the probes are pulled out of the main base, away from mining. This is a lot of lost mining time already. The microdose so far on these probes is on point, but this is still so painful. Very frustrating for him to deal with this. Now, eventually though, an adept should come out and it should be able to get rid of all of these Zerglings as well, but this is still a very frustrating spot to be in if you are a Protoss player, man. Having to deal with links inside of your base at this point in the game is super annoying. More Zerglings, though, show up, and that means that the first group of Zerglings is going to be able to make its way inside of that main base here of Goblin. Good micro here so far by Reynor. The probes, though... Ooh, look at that! He actually managed to get a surround right here on those Zerglings. Yeah, Goblin does manage to clean that up with minimal losses there in the end, but it is still 100% a game that is led right here by the Italian Zerg player. Thing is, if you go for a build like that, right, and Protoss scouts right after they put down a pylon, so basically half the Protoss players scout after the pylon and then the other half scout with a probe after the gateway, you would be in a lot of trouble, right? Because if the probe scout would go across and just simply see that the spawning pool is up right here, immediately that first zealot and then the second zealot are going to be out much, much faster. And probably the delay on the Nexus would also not really, you know, make up for that difference. So it's a bit of a risky opener there by Reynor, who decides to indeed play his opponent, probably being familiar with the scouting patterns right here of the Croatian Protoss. Alrighty, so let's see where this game is going to take us. Reynor, of course, already secured himself a seat for BlizzCon at the end of the year, as he ended up winning WCS Winter just a couple of months ago. It's actually pretty cool. I've talked to him a bunch, and it's also in interviews, it's been pretty clear that he is a big fan of the way that Serral plays Zerg, right? If people ask, hey, do you have an example of a player you really, really admire? Generally speaking, you would say Serral. And then, obviously, in the grand finals of WCS Winter, he ended up defeating Serral. Which is, you know, I still think that's one of the coolest stories in esports over the last year or so. Anyways, it's going to be a Stargate follow-up right now from Goblin, who, by the way, had his best showing in a tournament ever recently at WCS Spring, where he got eliminated in the quarterfinals. Very, very well done. Reynor, by the way, in that same tournament ended up getting defeated in the semifinals. Once again by Serral. This time around, after Serral lost to him in the grand finals of WCS Winter, apparently Serral decided, you know what? I've got enough of that. And he actually ended up beating Reynor 3-0 in the semifinals just last week. Anyways, it is going to be that Overlord speed upgrade. So I like this a lot. This is one of the things that Reynor has been going for. quite a bit recently. I've actually seen Sero himself play it quite a bit as well. Not really a thing that a lot of the Korean Zerg players like to go for, but this should allow him full scout of the main base. Now, Goblin is indeed gonna go for that double Stargate play. I really like this, but generally speaking, right, if this goes unscouted, it is very, very painful. If it gets scouted, though, all of a sudden, this is a build that is not gonna hurt Zerg that much. I wonder what the follow-up is going to be, though. Is there, where's the Overlord? Okay, there we go. Hero Overlord has been assembled, indeed, and this one is gonna sacrifice his life for the Swarm. It's a tough job, but someone has to do it. Zerglings, though, are indeed running around here. They should figure out that a third Nexus should be acquired here shortly. But Reynor is going to be able to make his way right now into the main base of this Protoss player. While he sees the amount of Phoenixes, this should already be a very, very easy story to piece together. And even the second Stargate right there gets scouted. So here's the thing about double Stargate openers. They are basically always guaranteed to deal damage. I love double Stargate openers. I've actually very seldomly see it not deal a significant amount of damage. I think it's one of the strongest builds that Protoss players can go for. Now, Reynor, he built a bunch of queens here. He's making a couple of spore crawlers, but most importantly, he's going to go for a Nidus network. Zerglings made their way across the map. They may try and go after that Nexus here as well. Maybe he's trying to force some of these Phoenixes back. This is actually really annoying as well. That's kind of also in a spot that is likely not going to be scouted as easily here for Goblin. As indeed the Phoenixes are going to try and harass this area of the map. They're going to try and go after the mineral lines and all that. So far, good defense here by Reynor. I would never assume you would counter a double Stargate opener with a freaking Nidus network, right? I've never actually seen anyone do that before. Well, the Zerglings, of course, are still alive. Oh, I love that. Oh, that is so sick. He knows that indeed the Zerglings are still there, but the Nidus Worm is completely unscouted. Well, right now, he does figure that out. The Phoenixes, though, I don't know if he's paying attention to it, right? The Phoenixes certainly are not really dealing the damage on the other side of the map. They need to be in just bigger numbers, but the Queens and Roaches are already unloading. Goblin is going to be in a world of trouble right now. Immediately, he decides to panic, and then he put down a couple of the shieldy boys as well. Shield battery is obviously very, very helpful. Now, if there's one thing that these Phoenixes are good at, it's killing Queens, it's killing these Roaches, right? They're not very good at killing Zerglings. Now, apparently, though, Reynor's going to go for a bit of a slow push, right? He's adding on Spore Crawlers right now, which cannot be lifted right here by those Phoenixes. The Roaches are going to go to town right there on the +1 air weapons, as well as the Cybernetics core. So right now, it's just going to be Zealots, as well as a couple of Void Rays that Goblin can produce. Sentry right there gets picked off, and it looks like the DPS right there of these Roaches is just simply way too much, as the shield batteries do not heal enough. Even though Goblin that's going to build that on paper should be pretty good against this, he did not realize exactly what was going on. The Phoenixes were caught on the other side of the map. They didn't really kill a whole lot of drones, and Reynor right now floods into the main base here of the Protoss player in blue. Goblin, he is forced to play against a build that he probably has not seen a whole lot of. You can't really practice against this kind of thing very often either, because this is the kind of strategy that really only gets thrown out in tournaments. Eventually, though, the Void Ray should be able to clean all of that up, but that was still a tremendous amount of damage. A lot of these Phoenixes are now running low on energy, so they're not going to be able to continue lifting. More and more Queens are still being sent across the Nidus Worm as well. Gotta keep in mind, though, Reynor doesn't have a big economy on the back of this, right? Even though he has 3 hatcheries, there's barely any mining at the 3rd, and he really only has enough economy right now for 2 base saturation. So as long as Goblin manages to hold on, he should be in a decent enough position. But right now, look, most of the Phoenixes are low on energy. I'm not going to be able to pick up that many of those Roaches anymore, and that means right now these Roaches have free reign to terrorize these mineral lines. A couple Zerglings right now are joining the fray as well. The Spore Crawlers inching forward as the creep gets closer and closer towards the main 2. Additional probes right now end up dying. Are there more Queens coming across? I don't even know if you need them right now, right? Just flood Zerglings. I kind of feel like flooding Zerglings would be a good option. The Spore Crawlers right now looks like they will be picked off. Once again, another Cybernetics core is looking to get killed here as well. Eventually, Goblin should be able to kill all of this, right? And that's nice and all. But is he still going to have any economy left over when he's done dealing with the Swarm? Apparently, the counter to mass Stargate is Roaches, Zerglings, and a Nidus. Like, where's the sense in that, man? I love StarCraft 2 in 2019 right now. I mean, skill level of StarCraft, I didn't think it was going to go up very much after last year's Grand Finals at BlizzCon, but man, is the skill level still going up. This is not a build anyone would have played a year or two ago, right? This is absolutely, like, ridiculous. He doesn't have any units here that shoot up, and still he's smashing the Protoss player. There's a lot more roaches inside of the Nidus Worm, but he does decide to no longer commit. I really want to emphasize, though, that the skill level required to play this style that Reynor is playing is insane. It's so difficult to actually pull this kind of thing off. Oh, and this is also a thing I think that Goblin probably hasn't seen before, right? So there's a couple more queens available, and I think that's going to be enough for these phoenixes to be dealt with, right? I mean, as long as he can deal with the Void Rays and the Phoenixes, he should be in a good spot. That's still a scary amount of Protoss air, though. Obviously, these Phoenixes have been accumulating a bunch of energy once again as well. Void Rays are trying to make their way across. Still a couple of roaches waiting in the bush, waiting for confirmation that indeed the Void Rays made their way across. Well, he knows right now that it's very likely that they made their way across. A Nidus Worm will be coming up once again, and the roaches are going to go to town to even more of these probes. A couple more Spore Crawlers did finish up. Continuous queen production here as well. They are going to have to be enough, though. These Void Rays, they can deal a tremendous amount of damage. Right now, they're going to be able to go after the Nidus network as well, and that means that there's not going to be any more production here. Or any more teleportation here for Zerg. And even though most of these Protoss units get sent across once again with the tactical recall. Yeah, Goblin realizes, okay, you know what? One probe. It's a whole lot, right? I have one probe and one dream, but it's not going to happen in this game. Beautiful play there by Reynor. I really, really, really like that style. Such a difficult way of playing, but such an impossible style to play on the ladder as well, right? I mean, who's gonna go for a 12 pool on the biggest map and encounter Stargate units with a Nidus Worm and roaches and Zerglings? Really, like, he put out a couple Spore Crawlers, obviously, as well, and a whole lot of queens as well, and they were definitely key in that engagement. But on paper, that strategy from Reynor makes absolutely no sense. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notifications as soon as I upload more. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much for all of your generosity. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, all right? And I will see you once again in the next one.